What's going on, guys? It's Issa, and I hope you all are having an amazing day, staying headstrong and keeping positive. So today we're going to talk about failure, the illusion of failure, I should say, to be more specific. What is failure? Failure is underperforming on a job, or underperforming in a soccer game or a sports game, or just not reaching the level that you wanted to reach. Okay, you failed. Big deal, right? This is a big thing, I think, for especially a lot of younger guys, I'll say younger people in general, people my age and even older, but I think it's more common among my age, people trying to push and find out who they are, what they want to be in this world. And failure is something that has a very negative connotation to it, right? When we think of failure, we think of doing horrible on a task and just, failing, right? It's a negative connotation. We hate it. I think when it comes to failure, it goes back to kind of the last points in the other videos where it's about perspective, right? And the perspective on failure determines how you view it, right? You have one person that fails and you have another one that fails. Person A takes the failure and says, okay, I failed. I'm going to learn from this experience, right? This is a good thing that it happened. Person B, on the other hand, says, man, I failed. I can't do this. It's so bad. They go into a depression. They start blaming themselves. They start blaming other people. It just, shit hits the fan, right? Person A is handling it much better because they're viewing it from a optimistic perspective. And you guys have to look at it this way. Failure is in itself a teacher, right? Failure and failing at something that you thought would work out or you hoped for it to work out doesn't necessarily mean you failed, right? It's just a re-navigation towards a different path maybe, or it's just a recalibrating to something better or bigger in the future. There's so many examples of successful people that have failed over and over and over again. God knows I failed and I continue to fail basically almost every day in terms of what I want to do, right? I failed probably more times than anybody else. I'm only 21 and I'm going to continue to fail because I don't view failure as the end all be all. I view failure as kind of this thing where it's a learning experience. I'm learning from it. I'm learning from the things that didn't go right, the things that went wrong, and I'm adjusting. And I think when you move your perspective towards a positive light, especially in terms of failure, we as people become better. So I want to give you some examples. So Michael Jordan, he famously said this quote in one of his advertisements for the Jordan brand. He said he's missed over 9,000 shots in his career. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, missed over 9,000 shots. For 9,000 shots in his career. But does he fear himself? Does he fear the fact that he might miss? No, because he knows there's only two ways taking a shot, shooting a basketball is going to go. You're either going to make it or you're going to miss it. So why is he going to be scared? Because he's going to get the opportunity again. He didn't win a championship until he was 28 years old. Hear me out now, 28 years old. He came into the league when he was 21. So in a 7-year period, he was losing. He didn't even make it to the finals. He was losing to the Detroit Pistons. He was losing for 7 years. The Michael Jordan. Now, my generation, Gen Z, we grew up not watching Michael Jordan, right? But when we think of him as kind of this perfect being that was just born to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And that's not true. I guarantee people in the older generation, like my parents that were watching Jordan would say, nobody knew he was going to be as good as he was, right? Everyone knew he had talent. Everyone knew he was the best basketball player or one of the best basketball players. But for that 7-year period, he was just known as a showman. But he proved people wrong. Just because he failed multiple times doesn't mean he gave up. He adjusted, he started lifting, he got stronger, he started working harder on his craft, he started learning, becoming smarter about certain things, and eventually his team built themselves to overcome the Pistons, because that's who was the top team in the East at that time. He overcame them and he won the championship. He actually three-peated before he retired and came back and three-peated again. Like one of the best examples of someone that just did not accept failure. And he didn't view failure as failure. Because I think failure is good. It's a lesson. It's a teacher. You have to view failure as a teacher. The more you fail, the more times you succeed. Like when I play soccer and I'm in practice, I know a lot of people say, don't over dribble, don't lose the ball, this and that. But in practice, sometimes I want to do that. I want to dribble. I want to lose the ball multiple times. You know why? Because if I get to the game and I execute and it works out perfectly, all that practicing and losing the ball in the practice makes me more confident going into the game, because I know it can either go two ways. I either beat the defender or I lose the ball. Big deal, right? But because I failed in training, that reinforces my skill set going into the game. And God knows I've lost the ball probably more times than any other player, because I try, I practice, I do stuff, sometimes piss the coach off, but I still put myself out there because I know failure is the greatest teacher. And it's not a negative thing. Don't view failure as a negative thing, right? When you have a goal, when you have a dream, when you have a vision of yourself, failure is inevitable. You're gonna fail at some point. You start a business, you're probably gonna fail the first 6 months to a year of starting a business. You start a sport for the first time that you've never played before, yeah, you're gonna suck. It's just natural. But over time, over repetition, over learning, that's how we get better. We learn as a society, we learn as people. Over that time period of learning, the failure is just the greatest teacher, and you learn to love it. Because when you fail, you know there's something that you need to work on, and you can get that 1% better. That 1% better. I think more people need to adapt that mentality, that failure is the greatest teacher in our lives. And then another example I like to give is Cristiano Ronaldo, who, again, I like to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo and Michael Jordan the most, because to me, I can kind of relate to them in the sense where I feel like they are hardworking people like myself, and I admire their discipline and their dedication to the game and to the sports that they have, right, or the sports that they play. I think it's something special when you watch an individual who dedicates their lives to this one craft, but also learn so much that you can apply it to other aspects of your life. I think that's amazing. So Cristiano Ronaldo, an example of that is he didn't score a hat trick for Manchester United until his last season at United. Think about this. The Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, when we think of him at Manchester United, we think of him as the Champions League winner, the skills, the speed, the goal-scoring machine that he was. But in fact, he was never always a goal-scoring machine, right? He was always kind of this showboating pony that they used to call him and stuff. They said he wasn't efficient enough. But as soon as he got the efficiency, he built that from 5 years of hard work just to get a hat trick when he was in his later 20s and his time at United. He's still relatively young, but mind you, he came into United when he was 18 years old. He didn't score a hat trick until he was 23. So there was a good time period in between those days, those years, where he was learning his craft. He had to learn how to become a goal scorer, and now he's almost at 1,000 goals. He's one of the greatest goal scorers in football history. This all encompasses what I've been preaching the last couple of videos. You set a goal, you set an intention. That's the hardest part. The easiest part is the failure. And I say it's the easiest part because the failure is giving you the hint. It's giving you what you need to work on to get closer to your goal. It's giving it to you right there. And we as a society need to start viewing failure as the greatest teacher in our lives. Because as soon as I started viewing failure as the greatest teacher of my life, I started to learn how to adapt, how to get better. And things and success and opportunities just come to me now. They just flow to me. And they can flow to your lives as well. If you view failure as the greatest teacher, I'm telling you, great things are going to start happening in your life. Stay optimistic, stay humble, keep pushing yourself, because trust me, that vision that you have in your mind, that dream that you have in your mind, if you continue to work towards it, success is going to follow regardless. But you just have to stay the course and stick with it, right? Stick with it. But like I said, guys, Don't let failure consume you with all this negativity. No, learn from it. Because you're going to fail 100 times more before you get that one success. It's inevitable. I believe in you, but do you believe in yourself? All right, guys. Thank you for your time. And again, don't take it personal when it comes to failure. Failure is our greatest teacher. So again, just stay strong, stay headstrong, keep believing in your goals and dreams. Fail even more, learn even more, and success will follow. See you guys. Peace.